Hi everybody, welcome to Stashblaster Quilts. My name's Maria. I am here to help you make more quilts in less time with less stress. It has been an eventful couple of weeks, as always, here at the Spitone Lake House. But I want to update you first on the wedding quilt. So let me switch cameras here. There she is. You can see some blank spaces. So like right through here where these hot pink post-it notes are, that's because when I was making the houses, I didn't complete making them all yet. I have them all done and I'll show you what I've done with those. So those houses still need to be sewn together. They're cut out and ready to go. They just aren't sewn together. But this is what the layout looks like. And we're going to be talking about more detail about the quilt today. So when I was making the houses, I was cutting them out and I was pre-sewing. The temperatures are like a bell curve, right? So they start out low because it was a February wedding, and they went up through the summer and then they came back down. And I wasn't sure exactly how many of which color I was going to need to represent each 10-degree temperature range. So I made a whole bunch of them figuring I would have some leftovers, which I do. But I'm also shy on some because it wasn't until the anniversary came along that I had the rest of the actual values that I need to do. So what I've done, let me move over here. These are all the houses I still have yet to sew, which really isn't that many. I'm going to be going on a retreat possibly in August, and so I'll probably crank these out then, if not before. These are roofs that I already have made. I do have more roofs to make. And then up high here where you can't see, I have the extras, the extra houses that I cut out but didn't sew, or that I've sewn and don't need based on temperature. So it's coming along. The layout is done. All of the little white slips of paper like here, where houses are going to go, have the date and the house temperature color written on the little post-it, so I'll easily be able to go ahead, sew the houses, and just pop them on. The roofs are going to come after the houses are done, because I don't want to have two houses that are back to back with very similar or clashy, not clashing, two houses where the roofs are so close together it looks like a mistake. They look like they were the same, but I was trying to make them the same and they're not. I just want to make sure I'm spreading things out nicely. So all of the houses are getting their numbers. Hold on, let me flip back here. So here in this upper left-hand corner, all of these houses here, I've written the date on, which is their house number. I still have a lot to go. I have a lot to go. But the post-it note underneath it does have the number on it. So when I take the houses down to sew on the roofs, the house will have the number, and now I know exactly where to put it back when it's time to reassemble the quilt itself. So I'm going to be leaving town for a few days, and so I wanted to take something to work on for this quilt. So the middle of the quilt, there was this big circle. So let me show you. This is what's going in that circle. This castle, complete with moat here and drawbridge. So I'm going to sew this while I'm gone, because this is all going to be English paper pieced or appliqued. And so I'm going to get this all, and also hand pieced. The crenellations here, I have already marked, and I will be hand sewing those just like regular piecing. Then I'm going to be English paper piecing these pieces together, and then I'm going to applique them down onto the background that I've made. So I'm going to be using all kinds of different techniques just on this before we even talk about all the embroidery and everything else that's going into it. But I had this problem. I wanted this wall to be stone. Originally, I had planned on embroidery, but when it was a 6-inch castle, it wasn't so bad. But now that it's a 12-inch castle, it's a lot more work. So I asked my quilting buddies if they knew where I could get some quilting fabric that was stonework. And they just brought me stuff. And I found the perfect material. And this is it right here. Okay, that's a perfect stone wall. But here's my problem. If you look at the size of these stones and the size of my castle, they're way too big. So I looked at it and I said, okay, how can I make this work? So I scanned this in, and then I had to do I had to do it several times, but then I put those scans all together. You can see these individual pieces here. You can see the lines into the pieces I needed. And then I printed them onto fabric. Here's the problem. When I went, I'm going to switch to camera 3. It might be easier for you to see it. I'm going to turn this to face me a little bit better. Okay. So when I went from this to this, the color changed a little bit. Not a whole lot, but a little. But when I went to the fabric, or even when I just reprinted this to see what it would look like, it went kind of purple. Now, I don't know if you can really see it. I'm trying to get it where you can see. But it definitely has a purple cast. I was a little concerned about this. I could have taken it to like a print shop and had it done. But then I was thinking, this is a fantasy castle. Who cares if the wall has purple shading? So, so it has purple shading. But overall, the detail came out well enough. Of course, I lost detail every copy. But I'm quite pleased with the scale of this now in comparison for my castle. See, hold on. Okay, so castle, wall. Do you see how that's a lot better sizing? So I'm very happy. It's only 25% of the original size. Okay, so I went ahead and I did that. And then what I've done for my trip is I've pre-prepped everything. So my background, I sewed I have clouds as my sky. And these clouds are funny. They actually have animals on them. So let me see if I can bring this up where you can see it. Okay, see, so right here we've got a teddy bear. Oops, teddy bear. There's also a duck, a rabbit, a dog, a cat, a whole bunch of different ones. And so that's going to be my sky. And then, of course, the same green I did with everything else. And then this is my big piece of wall. So I took an old pool noodle that I was using to protect my head, which sounds weird because pool noodles are usually used for bonking people on the head. I have this set of shelves over my desk on the right side. And I kept standing up underneath the shelf and hitting my head because there's a little piece that comes down further in the front. It's like a fascia board. And I kept bonking myself with it. So I took old pool noodles that had never been used in a pool. My pool noodles are used for quilts. But I then put these right around that lip, and I've never bonked my head seriously since. So I grabbed a couple of the little end pieces that I had, and I taped them together, and then I put my pieces on, and I just wrapped them in saran wrap. That's the only thing holding them on here, but it's going to keep them clean, and it's going to keep it flat, because I don't know if where I'm going is going to have a good ironing board or a good iron, and I do not want to find myself with an iron that is going to leave marks on my quilt. So I wanted to do as little ironing as possible. So these are all ready to go. They're ready to be sewn on. And then I have, hold on, I have my bag here. I just got this from a friend. Embroidery makes everything better. Okay. I have this little purple bag, which I really like. In here, the only thing I have in here at the moment is my wax. But I have everything I need for my sewing in this little box. So I thought I'd show you what's in my box. So let me move camera 3 again. This is getting a workout today. Okay. Oh, look at that. I got it right the first time. Woohoo! Okay, so here's that little extra scrap I showed you before. So in here, I have my crenellations card. I just did this to remind myself what I needed, and then I have to pay attention to the direction because I don't want my stones going vertically in my crenellation section. This is the pattern for the castle. It's rough cut out. There will be sky, here. But originally I had planned on paper piecing the whole thing, and then I said, wait a minute, I can English paper piece it and then just applique it down. So this is my pattern. I pretty much know it, but it never hurts to have an extra copy with you just to be on the safe side. And the nice thing is when it comes time to put this on the background, I can put my paper pattern in, move it around, make sure I'm happy, and then put the actual pieces on top of the paper, pull the paper out from underneath, and it'll be placed exactly where I want it. So I have my thimbles. I have my thread. So this is every color of thread I need to do this entire castle with extra to spare. All I did was I took all the colors I needed and I just wound them onto this card. In this first case, that's all there was because it was a fairly low bobbin. And so I just put that on. But I've got plenty here for all of these. There will be extra when I'm done, and that's fine. I have a little woolen heart that I was given a retreat, which is a needle keeper. It's to keep your needles lubricated and sharper. So I have that in here. I have a little plastic iron type thing. I have two of these that I use. So I use both of these. I have my seam ripper. Now, this is just a standard one that you can buy super cheap. But I love this wooden handle because it helps keep my hand from getting as tired. I don't do a ton of ripping, but when I do, I don't want it to be extra painful. It's painful enough on your soul that having it painful on your hands isn't very good. Oh, I have an extra seam ripper in here. Well, I can pull this one out. All right. I have my scissors. These are my little crenellation pieces right here. They're teeny weenies, right? They're 1/4 of an inch by 3/8 is the hole in the middle that I'm going to be actually stitching. I have all my other pieces here with their paper pieces that go with them. So you can see here, this is the paper, this is the triangular piece. This is a roof. And so here's the paper, and then here's the piece. And so I'll be able just to center it, baste it on, and then go. So these are all here ready to go. I've got several threaders because I'm going to be outside almost the whole time. And if I drop these on the ground, I don't want them lost. Or I don't want to be without one, I should say. So I've got 3 or 4 in there. I've got some binder clips if I need them. And then this is my needle case here. I've got 6 needles in here. Hopefully I only need 1. And then this is a needle threader, but it also has a light on it. So you can see, can you see that? Oops. So it has a light so you can see when it's hard to find the hole on the needle. So this is it. This is everything I need to sew that entire castle down. So now I have a mechanical pencil as well, just in case I need it for something. Because sometimes, particularly like on these little pieces here, maybe a line isn't as clear as I'd like, so I can just darken it up a little bit. All right, now I just have to get it all to fit back in. Isn't that always the challenge? Oh, come on. There we go. Well, I'm not doing the world's best job of this today. It's been a crazy day. Just so you know, today is the 1st of July, 2026. So if you're watching this in the future, I live near Washington, D.C. We got almost to 100 degrees real temperature today. So they were saying it was feeling like 113. My whole trip is outside. And we're going to get real temperatures here, which is further north than where I'm going to be, cresting 100 degrees for the next several days. So I am going to be hot. It's going to be miserable. It's going to be miserable. There's also chances of thunderstorms and things like that, which is another reason why I have a plastic case. And this purple case isn't exactly oilcloth, but it is water resistant. So then I have to take the wax out, but this little case fits right in my purple one nicely, leaving room for my wax with tons of room to spare. So while I'm there, I can just grab this for most of the days. I don't even need to bring the rest of this until I'm going to be doing the applique part. So I won't need to carry it with me the first couple of days at least, which is nice. Even less to tote around. But yeah, it's going to be hot. Oh, I forgot to put this pattern piece in. Well, I'll do that later. I'll just drop it on top of the bag. So it's going to be hot. And my hands have still not come back all the way. So this is going to be my first venture in doing a bunch of handwork. So my plan is to only do tiny little bits at a time. And as soon as I feel a twinge, I'm going to stop. And then I'll do it again a little bit later. And then I'll do it again a little bit later. So I may not get much done on this, but I'm going to get done what I can. Because there's a lot of embroidery on this particular project. I think I'm going to have, 40-something embroidered items, not counting the castle. When we start talking all the birthdays and anniversaries and the Pokemon, I think it's something like 40. And then, the castle has a bunch because I have all the windows, I have the drawbridge, I have the flags, the flag poles and the flags themselves. I have so much embroidery to do on this. So I can't afford to let my hands get too bad. So I'm going to have to be really, really careful. Excuse me. So my skin thing is just worse every day, which is why I look splotchy. I'm sorry. But makeup makes it worse. So you get me how I am. And that's how life just generally is. So overall, I'm not as far along as I would like to be at this point, but I'm not as far behind as I could be. So I'm kind of taking it as a blessing at this point. This is going to be several thousand hours by the time I'm done sewing it and quilting it and everything else. So I just have to acknowledge that to myself. And I may have to tell my son and his bride that their quilt's going to take even longer than I told them. I told them it would take at least a year after the first anniversary, because being a temperature quilt, I couldn't gather all the data until mid-February. So I have until mid-February this coming year to hit their second anniversary. I would love for it to be done by then, or at least the top done, so I can show them the top, excuse me, and then maybe do the final quilting and all of that stuff after the second anniversary. But I can't stress this too much, or everybody's going to be miserable around me, and that's never a good place to be. My husband is sweet and kind and generous, but I can't do that to the two of us. I can't make his life that miserable. So I'm going to make sure that I do as much on it as I can at a reasonable pace and try to get it done, the top done for the second anniversary. At least this part of it. This is the main part. This is the part that sits on the bed. And so what I want to do is get this all done, embroidered and quilted. Some of the embroidery might come after the quilting, but it's more difficult to do, so I'd rather do it before. And then the borders and their quilting will get added later. So that's kind of the plan. But it is behind where I'd like it to be. However, you got to be realistic with this stuff. This very simple plan that I had has gone completely upside down and backwards, as many of you know. But I think it's a more interesting quilt now, so that's okay. I did speak to the bride's brother because I love this cat look that the quilt had. Oh, I'll have to change this. I mentioned this last time because I hadn't noticed that looks like a cat head. Oh, let me back it up a little bit. All right, come on, move, swing arm, move. Okay, so that looks a little bit like a cat head because we have the two ears, one here and one over here. So I was looking at that and I was saying, well, maybe I should leave it like that because I had originally planned on putting a Pokemon Center down here and over here putting a travel agency and a Alameda, I think. I'll double check. A billboard for trips that they took. Anaheim. And so I was going to put those on there, but I'll lose the vision of the cat. But when I spoke to her brother, he said, no, she's not that much into cats. It's fine. Go ahead and put the buildings where you wanted them. Because I was trying to figure out, can I put them in some of these little niches that I have all over the place? But no, I can do the bigger ones I had planned originally, so that's cool. But yeah, there's a bunch, but it's coming along, and I'm quite happy. The curves are going to be a challenge, but that's okay. I'm planning on doing it as paper piecing, but that is going to make some of these more open areas a little bit more challenging, because I'll either have to have the paper piecing go into it, so it'll make like a star pattern in the middle of just all these intersecting seams coming in, or what I may wind up doing is appliquing down just whatever the shape is on, to cover up the tops of the roofs and things. I hope not, because applique takes a lot longer than piecing in many ways, but not in every way. So it might work out. But that's gonna be a bit of a thing. So that's the update on the wedding quilt. I have been working on every once in a while, even though I'm a professional organizer, parts of my house wind up being kind of like a dumping ground. And in my sewing room in particular, when life is busy, I just dump things and then I go. And so I have a corner of my living room I do that with, right next to my giant ironing board. And then a bunch of my sewing room here needs work, especially since I'm trying to get painting done next door, but not in these temperatures. Not in these temperatures. So it's either been a reasonable temperature, but raining, and I don't want it raining into the room, or it's been ungodly hot, or I'm busy and I'm not home. So that's kind of been my three conditions of life. So when I get some cooler days, I do want to finish painting in there, at which point then I have more options. But in the meantime, stuff is just kind of getting dumped while I'm going between thing and thing and thing, especially all the traveling I'm doing. So I have been working on, this week, I have been working on that corner of my living room. And I have made some huge strides down there, and it's looking so much better. But things that belonged in here, that were down there, have been brought up here and dumped. So I still need to work on this room. But I needed to anyway, honestly. I also need to start working on all those UFO things that we were talking about. So, not UFOs, orphan blocks. So I'm trying to get some of that pulled together as well. But mostly right now, it's travel. I haven't done much sewing of any kind, really, because of all the travel I've been doing. So that's kind of number one right now. And then once that starts to settle down, which will be in the fall, I'll have more time to do some of this other stuff. But, life happens. I tend to beat myself up about not getting everything done, but I have to be realistic too. And so I have to be realistic for you as well. I can't kill myself trying to meet a goal that that only really matters to me, honestly, just so that I look good. Because honestly, it is what it is. And we all have these times. Um, However, I do some funny stuff too. So I went and got my nails done. So here we go. Um, I obviously it's the 4th of July weekend, so I got them done and these are all glitter, which is fun too. On my toes, I have blue polish with red hearts that are the shape of the flag. So I'm kind of being a little bit silly too. Um, and I'm just trying to make sure that I am getting some time to relax and to enjoy life, because waiting to enjoy it till everything else slows down means I'll never get to enjoy it. So I'm trying to do some of that as well. And I do enjoy my sewing, don't get me wrong. That is one thing that I do work on. But I also need to have my house where I can stand being in it. Um, and my husband can too. We just had our anniversary this last weekend, on the 28th, so just a couple of days ago. And so, we've spent some time together, and then it's nice to have that and not think about this channel and my company and everything else that's going on, and to just take a little bit of time and go. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. We've done a little bit of it along the way, and we did for our anniversary itself, but I got to build in some relaxation time too, not just work or sew. Although sewing is relaxing, it's not the same. So anyway, that's what's going on with that. Really, there's not a ton to talk about today. Excuse me. I am going to be the new president of one of my guilds. So that's going to add to the time I'm spending. But I have been the nominating chair for the other chapter I belong to. But I haven't given back to this chapter other than like teaching and doing that sort of stuff. And it's time. It's past time. I should have been doing more volunteering for the chapter. So I'm going to be the president this year. And the current president, well, actually, no. As of the 1st, I am now the president. But the immediate past president has been a huge help. And so she's staying active right now, but she has family things. So I'm kind of jumping in barefooted without looking as to what I'm aiming for. But I have a great group of gals there. So I'm going to start doing a bunch more with the guild. I have not gone on retreats with them before, partially because retreats can be expensive. And also, I've been working like a mad thing for a decade and a half on this company. So I've felt bad about the idea of taking several days off, including weekdays, to go on a retreat. But now that I'm the president, I feel I need to do that. So I'm hoping to get some retreats in this year, and then I'll be able to tell you what happened there and what I accomplished. And maybe have some photos to show of what other people have accomplished, which is always fun. So that's another thing added onto my plate, but it's a good thing. We're actually trying to add in an August retreat. We normally do one in the spring and one in the fall. But this one will be a less expensive version, and if we can pull it together, it should be a nice several days for me to do this. I've only been on one retreat in my life. I've told you all about it. I did that one with Centerville. I'm now going to be going with Springfield. Springfield is my main chapter. So it'll be interesting to see how it's different and how well it works. And, get that all prepped in and see and try to accomplish a whole bunch of stuff in a short period of time, because I got a lot and I got a deadline coming up that I really would like to meet. Work-wise, we're still really busy. It surprises me, really, that, we just continue to go gangbusters, and that's wonderful. I have wonderful people who work for me. So I'm very happy that they're getting work, because this can be a hit or miss kind of thing. If this is your first time or you haven't heard me talk about this, I'm a professional organizer. And so I have people that are employees of mine that work as organizers and organizing assistants under me. That's what I'm talking about here. So everybody's working hard. Everybody's got a lot to do, which is good because they're hourly. So the more they work, the more money they're making. The college kids are back, so we have lots of very young legs able to go up and down the stairs carrying things. So overall, I'm very happy with how that's going, but it is still a time suck. But you know, it's a busy life, and a busy life can be a very happy life as long as you're prepared for it. So some things have slipped. Some things I don't get as much time with as I'd like, but that's okay. That's quite okay. I am anticipating that the speaking is going to be slowing down. I have at least one trip every month for the rest of the year, pretty much, that I have to either fly or drive, you know, and do an overnight for. And a couple of months there's like 3, which doesn't leave me time to do anything else. But those are speaking about hoarding disorder, and that's like a passion project of mine. So it's worth it to me, emotionally and mentally and all of that, but it does take a huge amount of time to prep for. Then the actual flying days, and then the convention days, and then the back days, and then the recovery days. Because every time I'm gone for one day, 3 days worth of work shows up on my desk. I'm not sure how that happens, but it does. So, so we're going to be pretty busy for quite a while, but that's okay. That's okay. The speaking gigs are kind of something I would like to do more of. Once I decide to retire from the organizing company, I'm hoping to do more speaking, both on hoarding, but also I teach quilting stuff. So I teach a sewing room organization class, and I have a ton of workshops. So I'm also hoping to do more of those. So if we can make that happen, and I kind of get to do, you know, cake and eat it too. So that's very cool. So I'm looking forward to being able to do more of that sort of a thing. But I kind of filled in with this YouTube channel to give me a little bit of being able to be out there and help people with their quilting stuff without it having to be the long trip and all of those kinds of things. But once I'm done organizing, for the most part, I'll probably always virtually organize. But the physical labor part of it, I do need to step back from. So when I'm done, you know, being in clients' houses and doing that sort of thing, then I'll have more time for the rest of it. So I do know that it's like when they say to you, oh, when your kids go to school, you're going to have so much time you don't know what to do with it. That never happened. I never had a time when I've had more time than I had things to do. I'm always busy. So it's just going to be shifting things to the right or to the left kind of thing. But that's kind of where we are now. Oh, okay. So at this point, I don't have a lot more to say today. I'm going to be gone for about a week. Next one is July 15th, and it's going to be an hour later. I have an event I need to be at until 7, so I should get home just in time around 8 o'clock to do this. Still 2 weeks from today, the third Monday of the month, Wednesday of the month, but it'll be an hour later. So just be prepared. If you didn't see it come up, it will happen. It will happen. It'll just be later. I figured that was better than shifting it a day, one way or the other, because changing days is harder for people than just having it show up a little later. So I hope you all have a wonderful 4th of July, that you get to watch all of the stuff on TV, all the America 250. There's all kinds of things being shown from all over the country on all different kinds of channels. I know one of the things, I know they're filming in Williamsburg because Thomas Jefferson is reading the Declaration of Independence, I believe, live, but there's at least one television station that's filming for that. They're doing stuff all over New York, Washington, all over the country. Boston, I believe. There's all of the different fireworks. There's all these different historical things. This is a great weekend to stay inside where it's cool and watch all of us other crazies who are outside as we watch this stuff live. So I hope that that you do have a wonderful 4th, that you do enjoy, all of the fun stuff that's going on out there. Yeah, we have problems. As a country, we have problems. But most people here are good people. We love our country, warts and all. And while some of the warts are bigger right now than they have been in the past, the underlying body's still okay. This too shall pass. And hopefully things will go back to a more comfortable, normal way of being. But even so, I'd rather be here than basically anywhere else right now. So enjoy it. Enjoy our 250. Spend some time with friends and family, and remember the important stuff. All right. So I'm going to end early today. I don't think you want to watch me sew any more roofs together. I've done that several times on here. So that's what I have. That's the only thing I have ready to go for today is some more roofs. So I will let you go early. Enjoy it. And I will see you in 2 weeks at 8 p.m. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.